Good morning, afternoon, and evening from wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. And it's time to talk about the Tulsa King. I have my general, as he double G here, Ginger Greek. How you doing?
All good, baby.
And we have myself, Zam, talking about episode 4, Heroes and Villains, season 2 of Tulsa King. Let's get it on. Now, first of all, I would have to say that this episode, being in the middle, kind of felt okay. We're setting up maybe things that are going to end up being the conclusion to this series. We finally got the Chinese in this episode after hearing about them in the episode before last. We kind of maybe got Carl Freshers maybe slightly in over his head now regarding the Chinese, and we'll see how that plays out. And also, he's got Armand maybe doing a bit more than what Armand was hoping to do, but Armand has to drip feed him obviously to keep him happy, so to speak, without necessarily screwing over Dwight. Dwight is getting involved in the wind turbine in business finally after setting that up from the first episode of this particular season. And still, we have the payback not only from Chicky but also from Bill as well. And that whether that how that pans out and who that pans out with will be interesting too. And of course, let's not forget Goody, who's looking over his shoulder, wondering if the Uber driver is going to kill him. Let's start with this episode. I liked how it began pretty much after the whacking. Now, remember last week I told you about how it looked like Goody was going to stab Dwight, but then change his mind last minute. Did you pick up on that?
Yeah, when I rewatched it, but it's not the way you. It's a bait and switch that they. It's a trope. It's a cinema trope. There was no way he was gonna knife him in the back. It's just made for the audience to think that before the
Yeah,
switch
okay.
happened.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough. And now Tyson has really got himself in it now. Like even though he didn't do any of the killing, he helped bury the body. You know what I mean? Of this guy Carl, a made man too. So
hmm
things are starting to pick up. And what I liked very much about the beginning of this episode was the fact that Dwight, he's come home now. He's had a long day. He's beat up. He wants to go to bed, but his sister's there, and she's reminding him that just because you kill this dude doesn't mean everything's gonna just go walk away. We're in it now, you know. And then Dwight comes to the realization, yeah, you're right. We are in this, you know. Like, you know, they are going to come after us. They are going to retaliate. It's going to happen at any time, and we got to keep an eye out for it. And that for me was a good moment because then Dwight later on goes to the weed shop and basically tells his lieutenants, who are a whole bunch of fucking stoners, by the way. Um, you know that shit's going to be hitting the fan. But we then on top of that, Ginge also got Tyson stepping up as a right hand man, saying, "Okay, boss, I've got this. You know, I can rally the troops and all of that." What do you think of all of that shit?
yeah. The I kind of like how Dwight was honest with his sister and just said, "Look, we're in the shit. Okay, I've just gone in too deep, and you know, nothing I could do about it now," kind of thing. And then, yeah, when the what's the black guy's name again? I'm terrible remembering the name.
Tyson.
Yeah, when Tyson kind of steps up. I thought that was good. It's like next level to his kind of character to say, "Yeah, I'm in now. This is it. I'm in deep. So I've got to do whatever it is to protect whatever it is we're doing," kind of thing. And yeah, I like that. I like seeing the progress of his character.
Yeah, you can see the arc they're developing now. Like he's not becoming so naive like he once was. You know, he's definitely
Yeah.
progressing. I would, you know, if you look at like the sort of the roles of gangsters, you could, you almost he does come across like I think like Dwight's two guys at the top of the tree are Tyson and Mitch, and Mitch for
Yeah.
me is his
Yeah.
Cancelleri. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Would you say? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Definitely.
and obviously Bodie plays his part as well, but he's not muscle; he's just brains. You know, so
Yeah. Bodhi's the
yeah,
guy that's gonna get all the kind of nitty gritty nerdy shit in place that make them money. And you know, he had cold feet at the beginning, but they kind of managed to rope him in. But keep an eye on Boldy as well, because there's an interesting seed being planted there about maybe he it'd be a good way of his character just screwing them all over financially and making a run for it as well, and then being left with nothing. That would be interesting. But I think before we go more into it, what I love, first of all, I loved this episode, and what I loved is there's more seeds being planted that
Poppy
aren't,
seeds.
yeah, they're just not Dwight centric as well, which is really good because often you'll get like it's something that revolves around Dwight, but here, we had the his competitor, the weed guy, and he's dealing with the Chinese, like you said, with the poppy seeds and the kind of shit that he's gotten into. And then we had Chicky kind of letting slip that he basically offed
Yeah,
his dad to his partners. And so the other two are just like, whoa, what the fuck?
yeah.
So
Vincent
there's,
definitely was. Yeah,
yeah, so there's that seed planted as well. And then you've got like fucking the Kansas dude's wife asking questions now about the dead dude and all this kind of stuff. And it's just like all these little seeds, and it's just like that's how you make a good show. A good, like, you want people
yeah.
coming
Tyson
back
and
for
his
more.
dad as well. I mean, they're
Yeah,
still going back and
exactly.
forth.
Yeah, Tyson and his dad and all
Yeah,
this, and it's just like I love it because as long as it all pays off well, then I think it's just they're just planting so many brilliant seeds where you could literally splinter off into any direction. And it's interesting, like you don't just want to see what's going on with Dwight now, you want to see what's going on with the weed guy and the Chinese as well, because we had a hint of the Chinese involvement earlier and we finally got to see them. And then that whole thing at the end was like, holy shit, kind of thing. And I was just like, oh, yeah, it was
yeah.
brilliant.
Because
Just
yeah, because
brilliant.
going on regarding them, like they came across that they were under the thumb a little bit by Carl. Like it's his land, he's the billionaire. He is they're in his part of the world and all of that. But I think he just kept pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yeah,
So much so that eventually, and I don't think he was planning to kill those thieves, beat them up, rough them up, get rid of them. I don't think he wants blood on his hands.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but he now instead he had blood on his shoes because when he fucking when that triad guy and I guess they're the triads. I mean, I don't mean to generalize, but it's a
Yeah,
Chinese
I
mafia.
don't know. I'm not calling them the triads because it might not be triads. I just call it Chinese mafia for now, even though
Yeah,
that's what
fair
triads are.
enough.
But there might not be classed as triads in this. So you can call them
Fair.
triads. No one's gonna, you know.
Well,
I
I
don't
just
know
look.
what
If
they
you're
are.
Italian, you're the mob. If you're Mexican, you're the cartel.
Yeah,
If
if
you're
you're Chinese,
if
you're the
you're if you're
triads.
Japanese,
Japanese,
you're
the
Japanese, you're
Yakuza.
Yakuza, yeah, and all of that. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's how
yeah, yeah.
I look at it. Different forms of
All right,
mafia.
so we'll just call them triads, just for the sake of keeping it nice and short and sweet. Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
makes it easier as well.
But but I just thought this guy was just a walkover, and then eventually he executes those thieves, and now like Carl's looking like, oh shit, and he was trying to extort them as well, like they were growing poppy on his land, and then he thought, fuck that shit, I don't want any of that. But then at the same time, whatever they harvested, he wanted a cut off 50% as
Yeah,
well, like he was proper taking the piss,
yeah.
So
And Chinese guys
but
like, hey, I don't like losing any kind of money, exchanging money with anyone. So there's just more like, this is how I act. This is what I do when this kind of happens. I just thought, oh, it's so good. It's so
I'll
good.
tell you
And
what
also, yeah,
what like
sorry, go
on
ahead. With who's the guy that works with the horses that's kind of helping
Armand.
Armand as well, like him just planting the little seeds of where everything is gonna go and do the weed deal, and so we do kind of undercuts Dwight as well. I just thought,
Well, he had
it's
to
great.
keep Carl happy without feeling like
Oh,
he's betraying Dwight. He's got two masters now, so it's going to
yeah,
be interesting who he ends up serving. I don't know what Carl gave Armand. He gave him an envelope. I don't necessarily think it was cash.
it was a
Maybe
lot of
where the
money.
location.
Yeah, it was just
No,
a
he
lot
gave
of
them. No,
money.
he gave him a lot of money last time round, but this time round, regarding the fact that his family have all like dispersed and stuff, he might have given them information of where they're located, possibly not just necessarily money. You know,
Possibly.
um,
But he did. He
yeah.
only
Anyway,
took like a brief look into the envelope, so I'm guessing it was just a lot of money.
fair enough.
But if it's something else, then that's interesting as well, because again, that's another thing put in. But again, it doesn't feel like stretched and bloated. It's just like you, it's a good way of padding out the other episodes where you can spend moments in all these. You don't need like a lot of time. Like the guy that kind of helped, who pulled the knife out. What was his name again?
Goody.
Yeah, like with Goody's moment, it was very brief, but it was enough to kind of show you, yeah, the paranoia is setting in. He doesn't know who to trust, and pulls a gun out on just like basically what turned out to be an Uber driver kind of thing. And but again, that's really good. Like they got to be constantly looking over their shoulders now, and it's all kind of boiling over to one massive showdown, which could be like a huge like go anyway. Like now you've got like Chicky, who could be going up against his own people and the Kansas guy, and then you got like Carl with the triads and Dwight and all this. It's just
Yeah. Well, I found that moment with Goody to be really funny because obviously he's looking over his shoulder and there's this guy going back and forth up his street, and then obviously the payoff being him being an Uber driver, absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
My favorite scenes, which is like it's like for me, it becomes a bit Tarantino-ish, which is one of my favorite scenes. In this was just the lads, in the car, just driving along, chatting, and it really showed you, like, and I think people underestimate how good of an actor Sylvester Stallone is. He was brilliant because, for a start, when he was in the weed shop, watching this a second time, I saw him just grab a handful of lollipops, and then they obviously go on their journey up north to see the wind turbine people. But then once we cut to him in the car, he's on a lollipop, and then as he starts chatting, you kind of realize, okay, this guy's high as a fucking kite.
Yeah.
And the way he performed that, picking on Bodhi as well, and all of that, brilliant. Talking about how his ears started ringing because of some scenario which happened to him when he was like a teenager in 1968. Just so good. And then just a bunch of lads
on the road again and things like
that. And you thought he liked that song, but then you realize he hates that song, but it gave him permanent earring. You know what I mean? So it's brilliant. I just love those moments. Just you can see them as a crew just talking.
Exactly. It's kind of good, like banter moment, builds up good camaraderie. Just like some of these fuckers are definitely gonna die at some bloody point. But yeah, it is important. It's important. It's good. It's just good storytelling rather than just being like, oh, it's gangster stuff. It's like, no, you want to enjoy these characters. You like these characters. You want to get more from them. And I think, again, this episode did that really, really well. Just a small scene in a car for about 5 minutes, but it was brilliant. Yeah.
And after they do their deal, because like Dwight seems to be, he seems to be putting his finger in many pies, getting involved in everything. I mean, not only did he get the weed farm, but sorry, not the weed farm. So I apologize. The wind farm, and I'm a big fan of those giant windmills. By the way, I'm not sure if you've ever seen them. They are magnificent bits of construction. Like they're humongous, and the way they just it's almost like a scene from a futuristic movie when you look at them.
Yeah.
But regardless, after he's done all that and they get their deal, they head back towards Tulsa, and they stop off at is it Dorsey, the car showroom guy?
Yeah.
And I know Mitch was very much looking to buy that showroom. But as far as Dwight's concerned, it's a good place to launder his fucking money as well. He's got more the more places you own, the more places you can launder your money.
Exactly.
So the weed is obviously legal. So he's got his weed shop. He's got now this showroom. He'll have the wind turbine place. He's got his bar as well. Like the guy's set up.
That wind. I mean, the wind farm is not just for the wind farm. It's also to help him kind of run his operation as well. It's to kind of help him run, because when the other guy was calculating all the stuff, it's like they're going to use the power from the wind farm to kind of help grow their weed as well, because they're going to grow weed at that wind farm as well.
Exactly. So he's already thinking ahead, and it's really cool because he's a guy he's an analog man, pretty much, Dwight, but he's got people around, like his three like main guys around him, Mitch, Bodie, and Tyson. They're younger guys, a lot younger than they're all old enough to be his sons, and
Yeah,
they're pretty much. And I think he's quite paternal, especially with Tyson. He almost, he does look to Tyson almost like a son, especially when Tyson stepped up and gave the speech. He looked like a proud father, and I think there's a
yeah,
very much a paternal sort of bond between them two. But yeah, like I said, he's got these younger guys who can keep him in the 21st century and all of that. And I'm loving. I really am loving this the see that where the industry is going. But going on to Bill, now what we got out of Bill today was that he's pretty good with a gun. We saw him shooting targets, and he's pretty much bang on bullseye. So I expect that to be a foreshadow of his target shooting into what we see later on. I definitely think Bill's going to take somebody out. I think it could be either Tyson. I think it could be Dwight's sister, or possibly Tyson's dad. I really can see that because Dwight's sister's obviously nervous. Tyson's dad said, "Okay, use that money to take care of your mother," because he wants nothing to do with. He's very disappointed in his son, but at the same time, he can't really stop him because he's a man. So those are my bets on who gets killed.
Those two, and what's the bouncer bloke, Marshmallow or whatever his fucking name is.
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot, that's it.
I really hope. I like Bigfoot a lot. I hope he please don't kill
He's
Bigfoot.
Definitely gonna die. He's definitely set up to die. He's an actual wrestler in real life as well. That guy.
Really? Yeah. He's got something quite familiar about him as well.
He's in a documentary. You saw that documentary, the Al Snow wrestling one.
Was he in there? I watched a couple of episodes, but I couldn't get myself into it, unfortunately.
Yeah. He was in that. Yeah, I tried. It was shit, so I just didn't bother. But I saw him in it. I was like, oh shit, that's the guy from Tulsa King. So I'm glad. Great episodes. We can go mark it.
Let's mark it. By the way, before we do, what do you think is going to happen now? Like, do you think Cole and Dwight are going to team up to get rid of the triads at some point? You mean, is that the case?
Yes, I think definitely Cole and Dwight are going to end up teaming up because Cole's going to come to the conclusion that, look, I need this guy. He's a small fry in reality, but he's the one that's going to help me go up against the triads because he's already pissed off. Oh dear, what happened to you?
No, I'm still here. I'm still here
because he's already pissed off. What's the guy from Kansas as well?
Okay.
Is it or
Bill? Yeah,
Bill. Yeah, he's kind of pissed him off as well. So yeah, I think them two are going to team up. You're going to get Chicky might get offed in this as well.
I thought Chicky would get killed in this. I think maybe Vincent might end up taking over. Especially after if he does believe that Chicky killed his dad, you think, you know what, mate? There's some lines you don't cross. And killing it. And what sort of fucking person are you to kill your own father? You know what I mean? It's just like, Jesus Christ. I know we're gangsters, but that's just a bit too far.
Yeah, it's a line you don't cross. You just don't do a made man. It's just, especially your boss, even if he is your dad. Kind of thing. You
don't kill the boss.
Vincent's definitely going to be taking over. I haven't watched the show. Just popping in to say hi. We'll just be careful because we're doing spoilers, Rick. It's a great show though. Seriously, watch Tulsa King. It's superb. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the alliances. Armand might also. Let's see what happens with Armand. He's quite interesting to see what happens.
He's on a tightrope right now because if Dwight will find out about him without a doubt. That's how these shows operate. And then he's already let him off the hook once. When he tried to kill him in season 1, will he let him off the hook again? I don't know. I mean, this time around he can't really go on about his family, but his family deserted him. So what? So what's going to happen? What's going to happen now?
Exactly. He might be set up to die as well, Armand.
He might go out on a glorious finish. I think he might fall on his sword a little bit. So
saving Dwight to try and redeem himself, even though he doesn't really have to. He doesn't need to show any fucking loyalty to anyone. You know what I mean? He's just a patsy kind of thing. But anyway. I'm going to give this episode 9 out of 10. I really loved it. It's been my favorite episode of all the Tulsa Kings so far. Just because it does what I love in a show. You know, you build up and you plant a load of seeds. Of course, you can't do that without all the fantastic episodes that came before it. But I really love this one, so I'm going to give this a 9.
I like this episode too. I'm going to be giving it an 8 out of 10. What I liked about it was just a good episode, and it was at the same time quite a somber episode. Like there wasn't really much, shenanigans in this episode.
Yeah,
But it's still good.
Yeah.
An episode can still be intriguing and good when the writing's done well. Like I said, that moment they were in the car and they're just talking about regular shit. That's what I love at times, when it's very enjoyable and it brings the realism and it grounds it and stuff like that. And you can see the bonding between the characters and all of that. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Okay, out there, YouTube land, let us know what you think of this episode of Tulsa King. Did you like it as much as we do? Do you think this is one of the best television shows out at this moment in time? We definitely do. That's why we're watching it, and that's why it's got a season 2. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest social media channel you never heard of. Take care now. Bye-bye.